Hey, what's going on, everybody? So I wanted to talk to Boyce Watkins real quick because, Boyce, you had a little get-together this morning on your page. It was a live. I respect it to a certain extent, but this is the thing. See, I'm always in this one right here, right? So follow along with me if you can. Always get to the point where it's a problem when I hear people that's either new to the music industry, wasn't there in the music industry when a lot of these things that y'all are talking about now, and I want to emphasize now in 2021, y'all wasn't talking about them, okay? Not even 10 years ago did we all aware of these problems because we kept them secret. And the internet hadn't been saturated to the point now where, you know, things are somewhat available, somewhat out there, somewhat, you know, you can tell what's going on, but not really. And that leads me to this. Boyce, I like you. I really like you. I didn't used to like you, but I like you now. I like you. I've liked you for about the past year, all right? So let's get that out the way. I don't hate Boyce Watkins, all right? At one time, Boyce Watkins wasn't the topic of interest because of a lot of things he was saying, you know? But that's all in the past. I don't feel that me and Boyce, I have taken Boyce to the point where, I mean, Boyce, if I wanted you all right. So, I like the guy, you know what I'm saying? The problem I have with Boyce is, Boyce, you wasn't there when these things were transacted. You understand what I'm saying? I was there for 17 years. So I saw shine. I remember going down to the courthouse with Puff and all of them. I was interviewed by the news, NBC and Sway. You know what I'm saying? And CBS, when Puff was going to trial for the shooting with Jennifer Lopez and Sean. We were there. I was there in marketing meetings where they were first introducing Sean. I took place in one of those meetings and smoked. This is a fact. You don't believe me? Ask Sean Press, ask Johnny Cruz. They were there. My point is, you wasn't there when we were in the music industry. So I'm going to expose some things to you, and I'm going to give you some things, Boyce Watkins, and hopefully you'll take those things and roll along with them. Boyce, you're going to come across a lot of people that are within the music industry, that are within this playing in general in media, right? And I hate to say this, but specifically for some reason or another, when it comes to blacks and Latinos or whatever, a lot of us like to get on and expose what's going on and talk about what's going on, but they leave their self out of the equation, or they don't look at themselves before they make a gesture, example, or a cause or whatever viewed to the public, if that makes sense. So, with Boyce, I think the problem that a lot of people have with Boyce was coming out and he was just talking based off of what he perceived. And to this point, he still does that. And even though you'll meet people, Boyce, that'll tell you little inks and clinklings there, whatever, they're at the end of the day, their loyalty is towards the same industry because the same industry is what keeps them lucrative. Now, today when I was on Boyce Watkins' channel, I was actually hearing 3 or 4 people come on there and they were talking about, well, he should have invested. They should have invested. Like these motherfuckers been on Wall Street for the past 20, 30 years or something, like their families were stockbrokers or something like that. Let's get something in contention here. Boyce Watkins is the only person on that page that actually has a degree to teach finance. The rest of you on that page are basically just following suit and pretending you're some experts, pretending you're CPAs, pretending that your say-so has something to do valid in society, which in fact it fucking doesn't. It really doesn't. Yeah, sure, you'll get a couple people that are contentious and they view the same things that you view and the same ideas you have. Sure, they'll congregate on the page, but I'm saying in the broader aspect of things, no. No, it doesn't work that way, guys. See, 10 years ago, not even 10 years ago, people weren't even talking about investing. And to be quite honest with you, Boyce, I applaud you for that because you were one of the first men that came here around about 6, 7 years ago and people started saturating themselves into your programming. And you know, anybody can have their opinion on it. But if you wasn't with us 17 years ago, if you wasn't with us 20 years ago, even if you wasn't with us 10 years ago in the music industry anyway, you have no idea what you're talking about. See, a lot of these guys, Puff, Jay, and a few list of others, they all were learning as they were hiring us. I'm going to say that for you again. They were hiring as they were learning from the higher ups like Clive, The first building that I started at was 1540 Broadway in Manhattan. And that was Clive Davis's building. You know what I'm saying? And the reason I say that was Clive Davis's building, because Clive Davis started Arista Records. Now, I'm going to tell you where I saw and I had a problem with the people that were in the comments section. And instead of just arguing with them back and forth, because silly nature people will do things like that. They will, like in the world we live in now, people think that they can live vicariously through somebody's experience and actually have the experiences that they had. Like we living in like some 3D realm or something like that. It's actually kind of scary because it shows you where society is going, where people want to not only live their own experiences, but want to pretend or act as if they can live others. All right? So what I saw on that page today was a whole bunch of financial shaming. It was a whole bunch of decadent, you want to say decadent black people and Latino people that almost thought that they were at some type of hierarchy above the rest of the black people, but at the same time, aren't we daily talking about situations that were going on? If we're going to take that position and talk about somebody like Black Rob being broke when he died, or somebody like me who's not considerably broke, but in a situation where I'd rather not be, you know what I'm saying? Which I shared with Black Rob, you know what I mean? It's like at a point you would be like, yo, well, where the people at to help you? What Boyce Watkins and the message that his followers are giving out to you is, in my opinion, and whether he does this intentionally or he doesn't do it intentionally, was the part of that article today. And Boyce, let me put this in perspective, all right, my nigga, because this needs to be said. You, Vicky, and numerous ones of y'all, and y'all, what's your name? I had to, like, listen, what's your homeboy's name? The fat kid that used to mess with your vet? Yo, nigga, I'm gonna tell you straight to your face, I shut that down. I shut that down. That's why you didn't get it revoked. I shut that down. And anybody say any different, whatever. Because you were talking greasy, my nigga. You wasn't coming on stage talking greasy like that, and that was at the time. So if you want some conspiracy theory, you want versus reality, there's reality versus conspiracy theory. You thought it was somebody else. Nah, nigga, it was me. It was me. That fat boy's name, Tone Talks. I wish you would say something to me. Factory. I wish you would. I wish you would. And I know niggas in your neighborhood. My sister live in Modesto, California, all right? Her boyfriend from Compton. Say something. I saw all that shit you was talking about. Boy, say something about me, fat boy. I dare you. This ain't no tough talk conversation. This is some real talk conversation. You guys are sitting up on Boyce Watkins' channel and you're talking like you're financial experts or something like that. And you're not even going out upon yourself and taking the time and saying, okay, well, you know, you got a point there. The inversion of the internet really wasn't that heavy. The guys that were working, they were just in their beginning stages. See, what boys don't know is, when we was in that Arista building, if I would have came to Bad Boy, which I was too young at the time, I was young when I started, but had I come a few years earlier than, not even a few years, a year earlier than that, they were still in this little small office on 3rd Avenue. Okay, little small ass office. Small, I mean small, minuscule office. And that's the office where the record company was. You know? And that office is where a lot of them hits were conceived and came out of or whatever. So I came in the Hollywood end of it when they was in the Arista building, they was under Clive or whatever. Now, some things about Clive. Clive when it started, what's the name, Records? You all right, buddy? It's a bird out here. I was trying to tell the truck not to hit the bird. I don't know if they saw him or not. But Clive started Arista Records after he had been brought up on some charges at CBS when he was working at CBS. I posted those situations he was working on, but it was like things like giving artists drugs, taking kickback money, shit like that. You know what I mean? Which y'all probably wouldn't know about because y'all not as deep in our business as y'all think y'all are. But I concede. Second thing I want to bring about is the artists that were at Bad Boy. The artists that were at Bad Boy come from the ghetto, okay? Including Big, including G-Dep, including Black Rob, including all these other guys. These guys come from the ghetto, okay? They come from a different time than a lot of you nitpicking, loudmouth motherfuckers do. And for some of y'all pretending people that do, they come from your era. And you live right next door to them. You come from the same poverty, you come from the same hardships, you come from the same everything else. And some people will say, oh, well, I became a teacher. Oh, I became a blah, blah, blah. Within this whole diaphragm that we're talking about, cooning and coonettes or whatever, I don't think you, just like Puff, I don't think you guys realize perception. See, the notes and the comments I saw in that page, to me, personally, seem like a bunch of coon and coonettes. Decadent blacks, if you want to say. Decadent Latinos. Oh, I want to come do that. But y'all really ain't got the money like that. See, Puff worth $750 million. Boyce, you worth $750 million? Huh? I didn't think so. Anybody in that chat room worth $750 million? I didn't think so. So when we lift the veil and we reverse the terms and reverse the perception and reverse the trajectory, we could be talking about you. I could literally say to you, based off my experiences, based off my work experience, based off where I've been, what I've done, the lifestyle I've lived and everything else, I could literally say, well, what were you doing all your life? You just became a salesman at Target? You know what I'm saying? See how easy I could flip? So financial shaming has been a way, basically, for black and Latinos to now, since they can't do it with whites or they scared to do it with whites, what they do now is, well, some of them, I'm going to say some of them, I'm going to say this is 40% margin in both, in Latino culture and black culture that does this, where they think they so better than everybody else. Well, the nigga next door to you ain't eat last night. That's not an upstanding neighborhood, you know what I'm saying? The person that lives next door to you is in debt. That's not an outstanding lifehood, you know? So it's a lot of pretending that goes on in this internet shit, you know? So, boys, I will say that you probably got yourself in a better financial position and maybe a few other people around you. But to this day, in the 8 years you've been online that I've seen you, I ain't seen nobody come out and say, yo, I'm a multi-millionaire because of Boyce Watkins. Anybody heard that? The Boyce, I ain't shitting on you. I'm just keeping it a buck. So let's be honest with each other, all right? None of you are in good financial standing, including Boyce, all right? Boyce, you don't have the type of money that tomorrow if the tax man came in and a CPA came in, they did an audit of you, you don't have the type of money that will protect you from going to jail. Even your brother that was a police officer, a police chief at this point, it was a different time, I knew. Even at that time, you know what I'm saying? It still goes to mention that you sound crazy right now, and the people that are following behind you sound crazy. Right now, we're waiting for George Floyd's verdict to come in. And that's going to be a deciding factor on whether this not only my state, New York, and a couple other states that didn't even have nothing to do with George Floyd, react. But now we're also dealing with the deaths of two of big stars, DMX, and one person to me, Black Rob. I promoted Black Rob's first album. Us and our team, Sean Prez, James Cruz, Malcolm Miles, what up? You ask any of them men if they know professional, they're going to tell you, yes, that's me, in case you didn't know. You wasn't there. And the problem is we talk all this big talk now, oh, they should have invested. They should have done this. And guys are turning into a bunch of sissies. And I can't take the leadership of sissies. I can't take the leadership of a man who stands at the ground, a man who stands his foot and says, hey, listen, this is a way for everybody to get off. And even if these men are sometimes 30, 40, 50 years old, we have to look back at this. What was prior to the 30 years they were on Earth? What happened? And it was a very different world. Now, boys, I thought it a disservice that you go around here and you talk about, oh, well, why did they do this? Why did they do that? The lawyers were ripping them off, okay? Not only were the lawyers ripping them off, if you listen to the story of some of these artists, not only just from Puff, but from many other people, the people that signed them were ripping them off. The what's the names were ripping them off, which brings me back to this texture again. These guys were learning on the job. They sound real professional right now, but Puff ain't smart like that. The niggas that work for Puff are smart. You understand what I'm saying? I remember one time my boss Prez, he told us this. Actually, it was Prez's friend that told us this when we was in Atlanta. My fault. He told us, he said, listen, you're smarter than your bosses. I'll say that again. You're smarter than your bosses. I'm not going to make this very long because I don't want to talk too much because then I got everybody calling me, asking me why I uploaded some shit again. You know what I'm saying? That's my bad boy curse. But why you put that up for, son? Why you talking like that? I've had people make videos about me, you know what I'm saying, from the industry and from Bad Boy Entertainment that some have seen, some haven't, some have sent me, some are more significant than others, you know? It was a different time. It's not now. There wasn't no digital sales. It wasn't no streaming. The vehicles that you make money off of now, they wasn't available. The whole stock market talk, that was new. You understand what I'm saying? Myself, I just got into stocks last year. People have been donating to me and stuff. And I said, yo, you know what? I want to show these people that I'm doing something with the money. So I would take like $5, $10 here, whatever. If it was a low donation, I would take that and I'd buy a stock. It's accumulated. But the trajectory of that stock is to leave it sitting, not to cash it in as soon as you see a cash grab for it. And each stock that I pretty much have has a little bit incremented into both of them. You know what I'm saying? So I got one stock that's got, you know, $10, $15 in it. My Tesla stock, I got up to $49. You know what I'm saying? Invested in. I'm talking about fraction shares. That's what I'm invested in. So, you know, I got a little bit invested in there. It's under $300, but I'm in the game. You understand? So I understand where you're coming from, Boyce, when you say that. And that's good, and that applies to now. I would say anywhere between 2016 to 2021, we started having that talk. Black Rob was signed in 1999. You motherfuckers are not thinking. You understand what I'm saying? Black Rob's first album was supposed to come out in 97 going into 98. The album got delayed for a year because it was bootleg. So already his financial risks are showing themselves. The bootlegging industry was a big thing. Now, then it turned into pirating when you talk about Napster, which Steve Jobs later implemented himself. You know what I'm saying? Where Napster got charged with it in a federal hearing, which makes no sense to me. But Steve Jobs later rebranded it and called it iTunes. And then other subsequent streaming services followed behind. And now you have a new trend, new culture, everything. See, I was there for all this. I remember when I came into the music industry, it was still physical entities, meaning they were still selling CDs, okay? I went from the CDs to the digital sales, from the CDs to the digital file sharing, from the digital file sharing, which was Napster, to this totally going freaking digital. And I predicted it. There's a man, his name is OG Mac Drama. I want y'all to go check him out. And y'all ask him this. Ask him if Davin Lewis did not say on his show approximately 8 years ago now that everything was going to go full streaming. I predicted it, and it happened. And a lot of people came and applauded to me for that. Shout out to my girl from Cut Close. Shout out to my man from over at Convict Music. You know what I'm saying? And a couple other people. I forgot what my man's name is right now, too. It's right on top of my head. I ain't talked to him so long. But shout out to the homie over at Convict Music. It's going to come to my head in a minute. But they were on the show, and they heard me say that, and they said, and they agreed with me at the time. Now, this is the person I was talking to is actually Akon's brother that was on the show with us. You know what I'm saying? So I knew I was going in the right direction. I knew what I was saying was right. That's my point. Here we are in the streaming revolution, and now the sales have dumbed down again even more. You understand what I'm saying? So I'll give you an example. When we were selling CDs, you understand what I'm saying? Now our building, ironically enough, and this is why I know this even better, our building was a BMG building. Anybody who lives in Manhattan knows this. In Times Square, that's where our office was. Our office was in the middle of Times Square. So there was a place called Virgin Megastore there. Now it's a Forever 21, but at the time you used to be able to go in there where people were still physically selling CDs. You were able to go in there, look at music, listen to music, put headphones on, listen to the music, do whatever you're doing, whatever at the time, okay? Well, subsequently, I saw all that fade out. We watched Tower Records, we watched Virgin Records, we watched all the traditional record stores in New York City closed down. All right, and they did this swiftly and quickly. So right then, it started affecting, and soon or later, I say maybe even 2 or 3 years later, it started going and have the ripple effect across the country and across the world soon. You know, so except for a couple hot spots here and there, I heard the vinyl picked up doing a little bit during this whole time that we've been having with COVID-19. But in retrospect, digital runs the game, okay? So now you're seeing even pennies on the dollar versus when you were selling a physical CD It could be anywhere between 15, 17, 18. If it's a double, it could be anywhere between $20, $25. I'm talking about a double disc CD release. Yes, that used to happen. You know what I'm saying? So these guys were already getting jerked. They didn't understand contracts. You're telling them, oh, well, y'all should have sat down and understood contracts and went to school. How the fuck am I going to go to school in the middle of my career? I'm counting on the people that I hired, that the people that signed me told me to hire. Or the people that signed me told me, hey, the Lloyd Boy has been using this person for this many years. You can trust them. At that point, I'm like, all right, cool. This is how the average mind is thinking from the ghetto, from the streets. They are not thinking, hey, I need to take this money, invest it here, take this money, invest it here, take this, because the culture is different. And the culture was influenced by y'all. Now, it may not be you directly, but it may be your mama, it may be you, it may be your daddy, it may be your auntie. You motherfuckers had your part too, because you were the consumer. And the only thing the consumer does is buy what they think the rest of society thinks is popular at the time, or buy or wear whatever they think, if particularly the society is wearing at that time. This is why the entertainment business is able to succeed every time, whether it be comedy, whether it be news, whether it be music, whatever form of media outlet that you have and whatever vehicle you use to launch it on. This is why these outlets are so successful, because of y'all. Y'all pick what y'all like, and even more so nowadays, y'all pick what y'all like even more. And it's a good power to have. It really is. But with power comes responsibility. And you motherfuckers are some of the most sloppiest motherfuckers I've ever met in my life. Like, you say things out your mouth, but you don't even think about what you're saying. Like, okay, I'm going to say, well, were they investing? Did I ask, did they have anybody around that was black that was helping them in? Did anybody black come in and be like, yo, you know what, I know a job I can create. Let me help all the artists invest their money. What was you doing back, Boyce Watkins? What were people like you? Boyce Watkins, if I stand correct, around the time that, what's the name, Black Rob was signed, for the next at least 10 years, you were still working at Syracuse University teaching white kids. Is that fair? Is that fair? These are the same white kids, which I know you know within the deepest of your soul, and I don't think you did intentionally, will become the new financial oppressors of us. Claro que sí, entonces sabe, gordito. No, claro. So, the point is, Boyce, you had your part in oppression too. You're not innocent. Neither am I. I know I'm not innocent. I know I'm not innocent. You know, Drake's got a line in one of his songs. It says, I know I'm going to have to answer for shit one day. You know what I mean? We did some crazy shit. We did. We had some fun too, you know? Wasn't all bad. None of you guys is in that chat room, including Boyce Watkins, know this game better than I do. And unless you were Bad Boy Entertainment, unless you were with Rockefeller Records, unless you were with Baby, which one of my ex-bosses is over there, Cash Money, Young Money, shout out to Malcolm. Yeah, your boy that's always on there with the dreads, ask him about Malcolm. What's the rapper kid's name? D something. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I call Cortez. Cortez told me when he signed you. D knows. He wasn't in long enough, though. That's the problem. D wasn't in long enough. You could tell D from a mile away that he was a teller. You know, he tell everything he knew. He was too I'm not going to diss him, because I think he's a good kid. He makes some good music. I think he's a little too Christian-y, too goody two-shoes. He didn't come from the same background. I think that kid was a teacher's aide or some shit like that. But shout out to D, man. You know what I mean? You know Malcolm. You know Cortez. You know a couple other people. Well, Malcolm was my boss before you was even thought about as a signee. You know what I'm saying? Malcolm was my boss. So Malcolm and all those guys or whatever, if you're not from one of those 3 record labels, which were and Master P, let me throw Master P in there. If you want one for one of those 4 labels right there, in my opinion, you have no, you really, and if you don't come from those branches, you really don't have no say-so. Because your crew wasn't as successful. They just wasn't. You know, those are the pillars of when we talk about hip-hop excellence and talk about hip-hop prosperity and talk about the biggest guys in the hip-hop industry. We talk about those 4 labels. Master P, the label I was attached to, Diddy and Bad Boy Entertainment, and let's not throw out Russell Simmons, okay? I forgot to throw Russell Simmons in there. But if you're not from those 5, why the fuck are you even in the conversation? You understand? You wasn't in Miami partying with us. You wasn't in Arizona passing out on the bleachers. You wasn't in California with us. You wasn't around us at any of these times. And you didn't see what transpired with these artists. You didn't transpire between the CEOs that had signed them. You didn't see what transpired between the CEOs and their bosses and the artists. You don't know anything about projection meetings. You don't know anything about fucking A&R meetings at the time. You don't know anything about styles. And there's so much that goes into really creating a music artist in 2021, in 2010 and under versus 2021. 2021, you can just pick up a camera, look however you want to, look as weird as you want to, and jump on camera and make a success out of yourself. Well, at the time, we groomed an artist. Within that grooming, there was a lot of lies that were put in that grooming. There was a lot of chuck that was put in that grooming. There was a lot of robbery that happened in that grooming and everything else. So to finally answer your question and everybody else's question, do I think that Puff should help some of these 30, 40, 50-year-old men under COVID-19? Yes, I do. And I think if you sit there and you question whether or not why he shouldn't do it, well, you stand as a hypocrite amongst yourself at the time, Boyce Watkins, and I'm going to tell you why. Boyce, you have numerous times got on your channel and talked about Puff and never met Puff a day in your life. And I'm not defending him. That's just reality. All right? So, Boyce, not to be funny, but you spent 10 years after Black Rob was signed in 1997, 98, teaching young white kids how to ultimately become our next oppressors in one portion of another. He was a financial teacher. You had tenure at that college, right? So we've all made our mistakes. Let's say that shit, huh? At 30, 40, 50 years old, yes. If you had a white counterpart that got in trouble, they're not going to use silly examples like, well, he a grown man. We black kings. You're not going to hear a white man say that. You're not going to hear a Latin man say that. You're not going to hear anybody else in the race say this misconstrued as version of what they think a man is, except for black people, which should let you know in some way or degree what they're saying really doesn't hold any fucking weight, because this is not a practice that the rest of the culture preaches. You will not hear the Jewish culture preaches. If my last name was Berowitz and I was light-skinned, I wouldn't even be on here talking to you right now. I'd be like, that's silly. Why are we on here talking about this? I have Jewish friends. I dated a Jewish woman for I don't know how long. Shout out to Adi David from Fula, Israel. It's a factory. So my point I'm getting at is, y'all, is while you're judging these people, while you're trying to poke your chest out and say, I'm the top grown man of the millennial, you really need to take a deep look at yourself, because many of you motherfuckers are just frauds. Don't sit here and act like you've had financial advance, financial and stocks and everything else together for the past 10, 20, 30 years. Now, if you want to look towards the future, that's cool. I can respect that. But let's go it in reverse, because if that was the case, the bulk of black culture wouldn't be talking about George Floyd. We wouldn't be talking about Antoine. We wouldn't be talking about Freddie Gray. We wouldn't be talking about all these numerous people that have lost their lives. We wouldn't be talking about being afraid to get stuck if y'all were all in financial advance, if y'all was so good. The reality of it is you're competing with white people, and you feel like competing with white people involves shunning what you consider not warranted within black culture in front of white people, to, I guess, somehow or another gain their respect. And I'm going to tell you, from somebody that grew up around white people, I grew up around a lot of Italians and Greeks. It comes out of my personality. Sometimes I can't help it. Plus, yo soy cubano, le amareno aquí, tú sabes, si yo hablo español, tú sabes, claro. Este negrito aquí, claro. Vaya, la gente latino, tú sabes, el cubano, el amareno, se la adora. I ain't got to go no more. The point I'm getting at is, as you sitting there pretending that black people should be in this mentality, that mentality, whatever, instead of shaming them, nigga, won't you say he go a free class? That's what you should have did this morning. And instead this morning, you came on with a whole bunch of motherfuckers trying to please your crowd, talking about, well, does Puff have a responsibility for Black Rob? Y'all niggas, what? Niggas watch that nigga die, son. I just did a video in Harlem. I'm gonna send it to you, that I did the night before I found out he died, and I was asking Puff to help him. You understand what I'm saying? Niggas wouldn't even come help me. You understand what I'm saying? I stay in a homeless shelter, my nigga. A homeless shelter hotel. I put up, you can go on my channel and see. I put up on my channel where there's rats in the room that I stay in. I've killed my second rat. I just took out one this morning. Just this morning, he got caught in the trap. And I put it up so everybody can see it. And there's still one more. Ain't no black people come save me. What these rich black people come save me? Nah. The bulk of the people that have donated to me have been two people. It's been a certain form of black woman, and then the second one has been white people. What do I mean when I say a certain type of black woman? I say a certain type of black woman that lives in reality versus these black women that live in delusional and have delusions of grandeur and trying to live the lifestyle of a show my mother used to watch a long time ago called Knots Landing. There was a woman on there named Deborah. I forgot what her last name was. She's played by one of the last classiest women out there, Diane Carroll. And yeah, I said that. One of the last, just like Cicely Tyson. One of the last. I grew up around a lot of classy. My mother was a very classy woman, very, very classy woman. And my mother, she, if you wanted to say, she kind of like mirrored herself after Diane Carroll, I would say so. A lot of people used to say my mother looked like Diane Carroll and a whole bunch of other things. That's why it came to mind when I said it. Guys, this financial shame and shit under COVID-19 ain't the way to go. And I see more and more black vloggers do this, and I don't know what type of precedents they're trying to pass or send or try to share with the people. Ha, I'm doing better than you. Ha, we survived COVID-19. We don't need no stimmies. Really? Is that it? These guys, if you talk to them, they almost try to give you the indication that they've always been financially set. And I have to ask them, I'll say, okay, so how much are you worth? 100,000 at minimum, 200,000, 300,000, a million, 2 million, 10. See, I've been around millionaires since I was fucking 18 going on 19. All right? I'm in my early 40s now. That's almost 20 years I've been around them. I say 17 because that was the point when we started getting checks. You understand what I'm saying? My length around music and the music industry is actually longer than that. Before I was trying to mess with Bad Boy, I was over there dealing with Violator. Here's one for you. I remember, I go so back in the music industry, I remember when they signed my song. Rob Lowe signed my song. And the reason I know Rob Lowe signed my song because I was over at Violator. I stayed at Violator for 2 weeks before I left. I was in the Violator offices, everything. Shout out to Michelle, shout out to Corey, all of them, they know me. You know what I'm saying? To this day, I still talk to them or whatever. And I think sometimes what would have happened if I would stayed at Violator Records? You know? I remember that. And right after my son got arrested for his robbery, shit slowed down, and I ran into my man, Rome, and I ended up getting with Bad Boy instead. Long story short of all this, we got to stop this pretending. You know, this financial shaming thing of people and pretending like everybody was always getting money or whatever. Y'all motherfuckers weren't getting no money. You know, if you go back even 15 years ago, I was sitting on the beach in Miami, you know what I'm saying, with millionaires, factory. And none of that time did I sit there and I'd be like making fun of people or, ha, they ain't got nothing, ha. Or we with the Bad Boy niggas, we in this hotel or that hotel. We gonna be in this club tonight or that club. Ha, y'all gotta pay $200 to get in. We getting it. We never did that. Never did that. There'd be a lot of times we would show up at the club 2 or 3 minutes because we know Puff is doing the walkthrough through there. So we show up an hour or 2 hours ahead of time, click out the club, be corresponding with our people. You know what I'm saying? Letting them know what the club looked like. You know what I'm saying? And then sometimes they might even skip that club for the night. Like, it ain't even working. You know what I mean? Ain't number, 600 people out there, man. Whatever. You don't know our business. And I'm just now learning the financial aspect, and I think a lot of other people that are my age and younger are just learning that financial aspect. Especially a lot of y'all that are right here on Boyce's channel. Y'all motherfuckers ain't never known nothing about investing in your life until you ran into Boyce Watkins. Just like the same people that Boyce was teaching under his tenure at Syracuse University didn't know anything else either until Boyce came into their life and started teaching them. You understand what I'm saying? So, Boyce, I understand the army that you make in the people. I understand the advantages to coming from investing. I'm now an investor. I have my own portfolio and everything like that. But at the same time, Boyce, I'm fucked up. You understand what I'm saying? I have been fucked up because under COVID-19, a lot of people don't know what's going on here in the New York City tri-state area. New York was hit the hardest with COVID-19. It's been the hardest to get back on track and online just as a city. I have spent the past 6 or 7 months looking at New York City and see it look as a ghost town. I spent the past 6, 7, 8 months looking at Connecticut and Jersey, and the same thing in certain parts, looking like a ghost town. It is not until just recently, when things started getting warmer and started brightening up, that people started coming out. You understand what I'm saying? So, Boyce Watkins, I ain't shooting no shots at you or nothing like that. But I'm saying, if you're a financial genius, as you say, then you know right now, in current society, it's not the best time to be kicking down a black man on your channel. We are so much, people of color. I'm half black and I'm half Cuban. All right, if you ain't understand when I was speaking Spanish. So, yo soy cubano, I'm negrito. So, when I speak from both ends, because when I run into somebody, automatically they just think, especially a lot of black people, they just think, like, I fuck black people up when I start speaking Spanish, because I speak Spanish, and they don't know how to react, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, they'll ask questions. Like this the other day, I was at the train station, and this guy, he was trying to get somewhere, he was speaking Spanish, and this black brother, he didn't understand him. And so I stepped in, and he acted as if he was surprised when I was speaking. You understand what I'm saying? He wasn't surprised that I was speaking Spanish. I think more so he was surprised that I was telling this man and able to convey with this man and able to talk to this man and able to get this man to understand what I was saying and he was saying, and it made him feel, how can I say, almost like alienated in the conversation, because we had taken on our own conversation at the time. You understand what I'm saying? So a lot of times, the way you're thinking and the way the rest of the world is thinking and the way the rest of the world is moved don't meet, guys. They don't meet. They meet like this when they should be meeting like this. And y'all guys are not understanding that. And maybe some of my influence as well as Boyce's influence can help with that. I've actually been in the music industry. Boyce hasn't. But at the same time, Boyce, you've been a financial teacher and whatever your tenure was and have held in your regard in your career. And I no way in hell can sit there and dictate the same things you do. So salute to you, sir. But when it comes to this right here, when it comes to this music business shit, Poppy, trust me, I know this. I lived it. I know things that a lot of these guys, I even catch guys like, I catch some vloggers, right? I want to shout out to Choke No Joke. Choke No Joke did a whole show and kept mentioning me. Shout out to Doggy Diamonds. You know what I'm saying? He mentioned me. A couple other people mentioned me. What you need to be doing, black people, since you're so financially inclined as you suggest, since you're so financially inclined as you make fun of other black people because you say ain't got as much money as you, how can you ain't help them? How come you ain't put a couple dollars in their pocket? Because if you sitting back and you watching them die, then you ain't no better than the motherfucking, what's the name, oppressors that's actually watching them die too. You know better than the niggas that put them in the situation. In fact, I would say like this. If you can't figure out the simple equation of how someone else's influence of mismanaging somebody else's career, Black Rob went into a motherfucking hotel, dog. Went into a hotel and stole some jewelry and shit. You know what I'm saying? And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, why is Black Rob stealing jewelry? Because of the way his contract was set up. And other people be like, well, how come he didn't have a lawyer? Every last one of these motherfuckers that you see coming back talking about they want some money, Lil Wayne had a lawyer. Lil Wayne had a lawyer. He was owed $50 million from Baby. You get what I'm saying here, guys? So, as I express all this stuff to you, I want you to know this. Somehow or another, you guys have got to stop this whole thing where you're coming in and you're just exemplifying nothing. You're exemplifying a game of trying to pretend like you're financially free, but in reality, you're not. You're just as slaves, just like the rest of us. Black, white, Latin, all in together. You are divulged in a system of debt. You are divulged in the system of leasing. You are divulged in the system of renting. Matter of fact, I don't want to hear nobody on here talking about financial freedom if you rent an apartment. I'm out. And yo, listen, I want to say this one last time. I'm one of these guys that was along when Black Rob dropped his first album. I'm one of these guys that was along when What's Your Name dropped his first album. And I'll tell you like this, and I'll tell you clearly. One of the clear things that I see more so than anything is this. These guys that were signed at one time, 10, 15 years later, are now going broke. And if you think it's because of this, what in the invest? These niggas will wait 6, 7, 8 months. Y'all don't even know how residuals go out as far as artists getting paid. You might have residuals for 3 months, and that check might be $1.8 million or something like that. Then you fast forward the next check based off of what you owe and recoups 3, 4 months later, might not be no more than $600,000. Now, you already got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 months of motherfucking what's the name shit that you still trying to catch up on because of your lifestyle now. That has been influenced by the people that signed you. Has been influenced by keeping a certain type of trajectory with the audience and making them think you're getting it and you're not getting it like that. And all along, there's a motherfucker behind you with a battery in your back talking about, yo, get it, man, get the chain. That's why niggas always do the videos with the chain. So-and-so got his chain today. Slave chains. Guys, I make no qualms about nothing. I ended up in a very bad situation. I got fired from Bad Boy Entertainment in 2015. They didn't need us anymore. The invention of the internet made it so they didn't need bodies on the street going to these clubs, going here, going there, and going wherever. So around about 2015, going down 2016 was my last job with them. Now, you never go nowhere fully. You never go nowhere. Oh, no, you don't get out of this shit, you see. Oh, they don't get out of this shit. Bad Boy for life it is. They reminded me of that. But I ended up in a bad situation with my ex, and because people ask me all the time, well, how did you end up homeless? How did you end up away from Bad Boy and all this shit? It was a sad circumstances. I moved into a bigger apartment with my ex, and I thought everything was good then, and we were so in love and all this stuff, whatever. Fast forward, going to time, and what happens is her and I end up breaking up. She was, doing what she was doing, and we break up because of that. I ended up getting, well, for the most part, I could say stabbed up by her in the midst of an argument. I didn't beat her or nothing like that, but she felt scared because I'm a big nigga, you know what I mean? So when I walked up on her, I'm going to say my piece. When I walked up on her, I'm arguing. I have a very heavy voice, so she got scared and she 3 times, you know what I'm saying, right here in my shoulder. Fucked me up a little bit. This is somebody that slept in the bed with me. So not only was they cheating on me, they was doing their thing. And this was all subsequently from the couple years with Bad Boy. I'm always here, I'm always there, I'm always here. I was never at home. So it was my fault that relationship, I think some part was my fault that it ended. But that's over. I never got over it. I ended up being in the debt. I was out in a bigger place. That little bit that she contributed to the place was no longer no more. A lot of people be like, oh, nigga, like, stop. Like, my shorty was paying the electric bill. My shorty did half on the groceries with me, and she did half on, it was another bill. That was it. The rent I paid. You know what I'm saying? I think 1 time, 2 times, she gave me like $200, $300 towards the rent because I was short one time. I think it was during Christmas. You know what I'm saying? I paid the rent every fucking month. I paid the rent. You know? And I did it with the ease of like, yo, listen, man, this is my shorty, we gonna do something. Ain't happened that way. I ended up being in one homeless shelter, then I went to another homeless shelter. Well, I ended up getting at my place, and then I went to one homeless shelter, then I went to another homeless shelter. Then I got out of that homeless shelter on my own, stacked up my money, and ended up going somewhere else. COVID-19 hit. I was thinking I was on my way back up. I was working with my ex-boss from Bad Boy Entertainment, shout out to Prez. And COVID-19 hit, shut down our shooting location. We was involved in a podcast of our own. And everything subsequently just went downhill. I ended up back in the homeless shelter. So at first I was at one that was in another part of Connecticut here. And then I never intended to be there. The only reason I was there because they didn't have enough placement for people. You know what I'm saying? And so finally when they got a room for me, they sent for me. And so I went through a whole debacle there where out there where I was at in that town in Connecticut, they had a triple shooting across the street that happened. And I think 1 or 2 of the people were killed in that. I know one was definitely. Fox News was out there. Everybody was out there, you know. And I'm only squinching because the sun is coming up, so it's in my face now. So it was crazy because, like, you know, it triggered my shit. You know, I've been and this is another thing that Boyce doesn't trigger in on either. There's a lot of men out here that have ailments. I have PTSD, I have trauma, and I suffer from depression. You know what I'm saying? I make no qualms about that, and I'm very open about it. You know what I'm saying? Because it's something I need to hurdle, I need to get over to move to the next level I'm listening to. I never have no black people come to me and say, yo, you want me to invest something? What can I do? Da-da-da-da-da. But the problem was, I went to the office, the old office, which was the vote office, which was at 1440. And not 1540, 1440. And that asked particularly gentleman, not once, but twice. I didn't even left a note with Puff at the desk, which 3 or 4 people backed that up. It was like, yo, he called yesterday, but he ain't saying nothing, you know. Like, trust me, my nigga, I talk to niggas in person, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm talking about, Storm. I ain't gotta say too much. Storm, Ciroc, you know what I mean? I'm leave it at that. Do you know I helped launch Ciroc? Remember, that shit was an idea. Revolt TV, too. It was an idea. And we remember both of them. We helped launch Ciroc, New York City area. Who gonna argue that? Who gonna argue that and say I went on tape? All right. As a result, man, you know, it just plunged me deeper and deeper. I had little bullshit jobs. I worked at Ripley's, believe it or not. I worked at Madame Tussauds. I worked at Starbucks for a minute. Then I went over to Dunkin' Donuts for a minute. None of that shit. If y'all know the setback on that, y'all so financially smart. Y'all know that that's chump change. That's high school money. So I lived the bulk of my life off, you know, right now, because we move around so much. Like, I don't know, it would take me forever. But the only thing I can tell you is just go on my page, because I'm getting off the subject here. Just go on my page and look at the sequence of my videos, and you'll understand why. I'm never at one place for a very long time. Like, even here, they're moving us out of this homeless hotel. We're at a hotel right now. They're moving us out of there. And for some reason or another, our governor thinks it's a good idea to send everybody back. Everything's cool now. So let's send everybody back and congregate them into a homeless shelter that has only 2 floors and has about 80 people, 80 clients. You know? So that's happening April the 26th, and I'm not really with it. So, guys, if you want to help me and y'all so financially free, you can hit the donation link, $STRINGERBELL80. I don't even have time enough to tell y'all the hell that I've been through in the past 7 to 8 months. And no black person has come to my defense or asked me if I need any help or what can I do or whatever. So my challenge is, if y'all so financially free and y'all so rich, well, how come y'all not helping out your own people? Because that's what white people do. So are you in turn just cooning, or you working for white people, or you trying to please master is the question. And I think that that's a question that a lot of people that claim they for black people need to start asking sometime, you know? So other than that, guys, I ain't on here begging or nothing like that. I just wanted to say my part because I felt that was unfair what some of those people in that comment section were saying, especially some of y'all that are way less accomplished than Black Rob or myself. You know what I'm saying? And that goes to no shots intended and nothing like that. I'm not here to argue with niggas or upset anybody or me versus Boyce Watkins. I actually like Boyce, you know what I'm saying? I gotta keep it a buck with you. I don't like Vicky too much, you know. Vicky be on there, you know what I'm saying, grabbing her donations and everything like that or whatever. So why can't I too? And Vicky has never been in the music industry. You understand what I'm saying? I have. So if you guys would like to ask me any questions, like to, you know, whatever, my page is always available. Leave a comment. We're not bashing Boyce. I'm not bashing Boyce's followers. I'm literally just bringing to attention something that was said and how it could be misconstrued and taken about for something else, especially if you don't know what you're talking about. And I'll leave you with this. I don't know if you guys know this, but the bulk of the hits that Puff has, he signed most of them over, including Big's albums, to Time Warner back in 2005, okay? This is when we were having that slump at Bad Boy that I mentioned in another video, where people were actually trying to, like, they were trying to jump ship over there because there was so much going on with the trial and everything else or whatever. But everybody's trying to move out the way. So, including Clive. So, at a point, we thought that the shit might be over. You know what I'm saying? I, Rome, Mayor, and a couple other people, I'm sorry for mentioning y'all names, we were the ones that stayed. We still came there. We were interviewed by the news. I was interviewed by Sway, NBC, CBS, everybody. And the time the pup was going to trial, you know, and this man still didn't help me. You know how quickly it would be to put 10 grand in each one of our accounts, and you got our information? Prez got our information. It would take just like that, 10 grand. 10 grand would change my whole life right now, you know? But instead, motherfuckers would rather see you, especially people in your own culture, they'd rather see you sit back and slide and suffer because it makes them feel better about themselves. As a result of that, the bulk of the hits that were at Bad Boy were now in possession of Time Warner. You understand what I'm saying? I don't know what his acquisition was in trying to ascertain some of those things back, especially with those catalogs being worth so much. I don't think Time Warner would be so easy to give it. I'll give you an even better example. Revolt TV, y'all heard me mention about Revolt. I was trying to get a job of Revolt at the time, full time. Revolt at the time, this is not even 2 years back. Revolt at the time was going through their own transition because AT&T had bought a portion of Time Warner, which Time Warner owned a bulk of the catalog for Puff shit. So in retrospect, if y'all don't understand what I'm saying, artists like Mace, artists like Biggs, I think second album, third album, and possibly maybe the first album, and numerous other artists that were the hits, like them early hits from the 90s, they came possession of Time Warner. You know? So I give y'all a little guys. Y'all do what y'all want to do with it. I don't know, but like I said, a lot of y'all don't know what y'all talking about. So ask somebody that's actually been in the music business. Boyce Watkins is no disrespect. I ain't at your head, nothing like that. I'm just simply stating facts. You were never in the music industry, and that's like the same thing as me talking about a financial analyst. I have no idea. You get what I'm saying? So guys, if you like to, donation links in the description, PayPal, and Stringerbell 80. I'm trying to get up and get out, man. So, you know what I mean? If y'all want to help somebody, if y'all don't, or if y'all rather see another funeral, I don't know. You know what I mean? Donation links are there. It's still Bad Boy for life, in the sense that those guys were guys that I knew for a very long time. I'm talking about the artists. You know, I'm a musician, a very good musician. The difference between me and a lot of other musicians is I'm actually talented. Anybody will tell you that. Anybody will tell you that. There have been guys that were actually on the team that emulated me. You know what I'm saying? So that's no stake in the matter to say anything. But yeah, man, we all out here grinding and trying to survive or whatever. And I don't even know where I'm going to be as of next week. So, you know, I keep that in inch. We were supposed to be at that hotel. They're moving us out of that hotel on the 26th. And I've said to myself, I'm not going with those people. I'm not going to sleep. There's supposed to be 6 to 8 of us in the room under COVID-19. And I live literally 20 minutes outside New York. You understand what I'm saying? 20 minutes outside New York. It takes me 20 minutes to get to NY from where I live. So, you know, I love CT and everything like that, but this is a big mistake by Ned Lamont, our governor, and I don't think he really gives a fuck. They're more in tune with trying to get the revenue going again. They can't take a second year of revenue loss in the summertime. They won't sustain the winter, and they know that, and we know that. All right, guys, I'm out of here. You got any questions, links are in the description if you wish to donate. If not, hey, it was great talking to y'all, but I got a lot more information than that, so you make your own choice. But Boyce, holla at me, man.